Welcome to the Chapter 1 podcast, your inside look at the people powering Charlotte's business scenes. Real stories, real entrepreneurs right here in the Queen City. Today I'm joined by Meghan and Cory Knight with Knight Senior Advisors. Is that right?
That is correct.
We're excited to have you guys on. Let's start at Chapter 1. How did you guys make your way here to Charlotte?
We got married after college, and my parents had bought a house down here, and we loved the area, so we moved here right out of college about 17 years ago.
17. All right. And so let's start there. So 17 years ago, you guys are here in Charlotte. Is that when you decided to start this, or was there a backstory there? What was professional life like leading up to where you're at now?
Sure, definitely a backstory there. My background's actually education, and Cory was in nonprofit work. And my grandmother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's back in 2011, and she was living with my parents at the time. And during that time, it was getting more and more difficult for my parents to help care for her. And so they realized they needed help. And so we had stepped in to help them with looking for a community for my grandmother. We didn't know anything about it at the time. We just went online, kind of got a little overwhelmed. And so at that time, Cory and I stepped in and said, let us start looking for communities. And we found a community for my grandmother, and it changed the trajectory of my career. I moved into senior living, working in sales and marketing for a senior living community in independent living, assisted living, and memory care. And at that time, we realized the great need that families had in somebody helping them along their search before they even went to a community.
Awesome. And so you were in nonprofit at this time. So what was your journey into that like?
Correct, yeah. So, right out of college, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in nonprofit, do sports, work with youth. And so I spent really a good first 15 years of my adult life, as I call it, working in nonprofit and serving youth and working in that world.
Awesome. So nonprofits, I feel like, face a lot of the same things as business owners, but you don't technically. There's obviously some differences. So, in your experience when you were doing that, like how did you have to deal with a lot of the business owner type things of having to market it and network yourself and things like that?
Absolutely, yeah. So a lot of it was doing a lot of the marketing, doing the. There's not sales, so to speak, in nonprofit, but you're out networking,
Sure.
You're working with donors, and you're getting the message out, and you're storytelling at the end of the day, no matter what you do. So there was a lot of overlap with this and nonprofit work.
So awesome. So now let's talk about what you guys are doing now with Knight Senior Advisors.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not that you're advisors, right? People might get that wrong, that you're not like financial advisors. You're senior advisors.
We're senior advisors.
So explain to me, tell the people, what is this company that you guys own?
Sure. So what we do is we help families as they are looking to navigate the complexities of senior living. And so we start with a conversation. Once we get a family that's referred to us, we either meet them for coffee or go to their house, meet them for lunch, and just have a conversation to get to know them and get to know their situation. Many times it's the adult children that we're talking with. And they're faced with an overwhelming decision, and they don't know where to start. And they don't know the difference between independent living, assisted living, memory care. And so that first meeting we have is really just getting to know them and their loved one and finding out specifically what it is they're looking for. What is their budget? What location are they looking for? What are some of the care needs? Who are their parents? What hobbies do they have? Yeah. What did they used to do that they're no longer doing? And so from there, we go back and we are contract with majority of the communities in the Charlotte metro area. Okay. And we narrow down the communities that specifically fit what they are looking for. So if it's somebody looking for assisted living, we're finding assisted living only, or maybe assisted living with memory care attached if there's some dementia diagnosis. We're going with their budget. If they're talking about how their mom loves to be outside and loves bird watching and things like that, we're not bringing them to an urban environment. We're bringing them with something with more land. And then we accompany them on every tour that they go on, so we're their advocate, asking the questions they may not think to ask, as well as helping them to explain the situation that's going on. And then we help them see the pros and cons of every community that we've toured. We try to narrow it down to 3 to 5 communities, so it's not overwhelming, and tour 3 to 4 communities only. And our services are 100% free for the family. There's no cost for families as we work with them. We actually get paid. We kind of equate ourselves to realtors after somebody, the sale of the house, after somebody moves to a community, it's actually the community that will pay us a referral fee after they have moved in. So we're the advocate of the family, and we are finding the right community for that family. And then afterwards, then we'll get paid by the community that they choose.
Wow. So how did you guys? So how long ago did you guys start this?
Officially, technically, we launched in October
Okay.
of last year. So, but the vision for this started a long time ago. And last summer, we were sitting around talking and realized we weren't getting any younger in life, and said, if we're going to do this, let's do it. And so we launched out and did it. So we've been doing it almost a year now, coming close to it.
So what was it like getting something like this off the ground? I mean, how does marketing look like in those early stages? Because I think that's the big thing that most people face is they have a great idea, and then it's like, well, how do we get people to populate this? So how did you guys handle that?
Yeah, so in the beginning, we really wanted to start with making sure that we had a mission and we had a vision. And so we had prayed about it, and we went, and it was almost like downloaded to us in one evening. In 6 hours, we came up with our mission statement, our vision, our core values. We created a website. We created our email addresses. We did everything that we'd need to do in order to get it started. And then after that, as I said, I was in senior living for many years. I entered in 2014, and I had a lot of contacts. And one thing about the senior living industry, a lot of time people move from community to community. Yeah. And so although I worked with a lot of people at specific communities, now they're spread all throughout the Charlotte metro area. And so I kind of started with those people that I already knew, the people I had relationships with. And then from there, we do a lot of, and that's how we got it on the community side, to get those relationships and those contracts with them. And then from a business side with our families, we go do a lot of networking events. We're in the hospitals and rehabs and senior living communities, home care companies we're meeting with, and we just get a lot of word of mouth referrals from people who know somebody. And then after we've helped that family, now they give our name to people in their church and other family members, and we're getting a lot of residual referrals from those.
Yeah. What do you think is like the biggest benefit people are getting when they go with you guys? Like what's the biggest problem you're solving for people?
We're giving hope. A lot of times we meet with a family who's feeling overwhelmed because either it's a crisis situation, and they feel so overwhelmed, like they have to do this all on their own, and they don't know what they're looking for. And so with our services, we're in all the communities. We look at like the state surveys. We go to the communities on a regular basis. We drop in, and we have relationships with the community. So we know the culture of the communities. We know already what they will accept. We know what their budget is. And so when we're meeting with a family, that first time we meet with them and we're just listening and they're able to unburden, and then afterwards we say, okay, well, based on what you're saying, there's some really good options out there that we're going to get back to you so we can schedule some tours. And what we hear every single time is we either get a text afterwards or a phone call afterwards and say, I slept the best that I have ever slept, just knowing that I'm not doing this by myself and I have you by my side.
Wow. So for you guys, and this answer might be different for the two of you, what would you say is the thing you love most about what you get to do, not only as business owners now, but as being directly involved with the things that you're involved in?
Yeah, for me, I would say that I've left the nonprofit world to move into the profit world, and there's so many similarities. People are like, well, you went from serving youth to older adults. And I'm like, well, they're both vulnerable populations at the end of the day. Both have people looking out for them and need that care oftentimes. And so there's been such a great overlap for me to kind of feel I'm really getting to still help people, but I'm building my own brand and building my own business and getting to do it the way we feel led to do it each and every day. And, it changes every day when you do it yourself, but it's really rewarding to do it that way.
I would say it's the rewarding feeling. Just Tuesday night, we were on with a conference call. The family was not in town here. They lived out of town. And so we did a virtual conference call for 2 hours with them. And afterwards, we hung up and we looked at each other, like that look on that face at the very end of the conversation with the family. And they say, wow, we just feel so much better. And you see the burden lifted. It really is just a very heartwarming feeling. Yeah. And then on top of that, we have a 7-year-old son, and we get to get him involved in business. He goes after the families move into a community. We bring him with us, and we bring gifts, and we visit with them. He's very much involved when we do like expos. He comes with us, so he gets to be part of the business with us. So it truly is a family business.
Nice. Well, what's one of the bigger misconceptions you guys run into when you're working with these clients? Like, do they have just kind of false ideas of, oh, this is what it's going to be like, and how do you guys kind of help those misconceptions?
The number one misconception is I don't want to go to a nursing home. So a lot of people of this generation have this old mindset of what a nursing home used to be.
Right.
And then they also feel like if it's a family who's looking, my family's putting me somewhere. So those are the two things that we encounter almost
tough, yeah.
every single conversation. And so for us, it's painting a picture of what independent living truly is. It's resort style living where you have meals and you have dining rooms and you have housekeeping. You're living like on a cruise ship for the rest of your life. You're just not leaving dock. And they're like, oh. And then we go to assisted living. We say, they don't want to take your independence from you. They're just helping you with meals. And the specific care you may have is what it's going to be. And then we paint that picture of, you said you used to like to garden. This community has raised flower beds and they have a gardening club, and then picturing and telling them success stories about what it's really like.
So for you guys, having been in this for a while, and you're obviously working in nonprofit, again, it's similar in the kind of business owner aspect. What's some advice you would give somebody just starting off, or maybe like yourselves, if you could teleport back and talk to yourselves at a younger age? What are some of the things that you've had to learn, I guess, going through this process of starting your own thing?
You know, to say learned, I think is something we tried to do and do it well. We both had come from larger companies. I'd worked, executive leadership with large nonprofits, and Meghan had come from large, companies in sales and marketing. We felt like starting out that we wanted everything to look, branding, website, marketing materials, to look like we'd been around for 20 years.
Smart.
Right?
Yeah,
we wanted it to
smart.
be from day one. I mean, we built our website out and took about 2 months to keep working on it before we finally launched it live. And so
Smart.
really making it look like we weren't just a fly-by-night, just here today, gone tomorrow, being very purposeful in everything we did.
Yeah.
And for me, I would say it's, like we said, we realized we weren't getting any younger. And so what we heard from so many people, especially after we started it, that are older than us, is I wish we would have taken the risk when we were your age and done something like this. And I would say, looking back, maybe that way I wish we would have taken the risk earlier than what we had. We had just kept on. It's a lot of times there's comfort in the norm. And it was definitely a leap of faith, taking the step and starting our own business.
Nice. Do you guys have any like wild stories, either really, really good ones or really bad ones? Just because, I mean, people have asked me that question and I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to tell you all the bad ones. I mean, I've done some really dumb things as a business owner, but have you found yourself in those situations where you're either putting out a fire, or maybe it's a great story, but just in your time of working, has there been any of those stories that you'd like to share?
We hope when people call us that they're planning ahead and looking for the future. But we have gotten calls, and early on when we started this, of somebody calling us like, hey, mom's in rehab and she's not safe to go back home. What can we do? And we're like, well, we can definitely start looking at some places and find a place for you to go, blah, blah. And we're like, when does mom get out of rehab? Oh, on Friday, and it's Wednesday. And we're like, oh, okay. So, and they're like, what should I do? And I want to say, call 2 weeks ago. And it's been a little easier, and so really it's just like, okay, so, immediately we're like on the phone, like calling communities. We're like, okay, this is very quick. Can you do this? Can you do this? And it's a tough spot because there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of processes, but we were able to pull that one off, luckily, and just have built those relationships in the communities. But those, that happened early on, and it's happened again. And it's not the easy ones, and it is kind of putting out the fire a little bit,
Sure.
but just having us prepared and planned ahead helps so much with that.
For sure. So talk to me about the future. Where do you guys hope that this thing goes? If I talk to you guys in 1 year, what do you hope that this company turns in? What do you want to be?
I think for us to be still that trusted resource when it comes to looking for senior living options, and we were intentional when we chose to do ourselves and not franchise, because we saw the need for the growth. I think we'd love to have, it's just the two of us right now, we'd love to have a couple more advisors on board so we can navigate better, because we literally cover from Hickory, Concord, South Charlotte, Rock Hill, Statesville, you name it. We're pretty much there, and where the calls come, we go. And so we'd love to be able to grow and build that out. And I think, our ultimate goal would be to cover most of North Carolina and just be able to serve families in the same capacity that we currently do, to be that hands-on resource for them and not lose that touch no matter how big we grow.
Yeah. So what does the process look like if somebody was interested? Like they're watching this, they're interested. What does the process look like for them? Did they just call you and just kind of lay their problems at your feet? Like what does it look like when somebody first contacts you to you're getting, their relative in somewhere safe?
So if they could either call us, they can go on our website, fill out like a form that tells a little bit about them. But the easiest way would be to call us. And at that time, we're going to have a conversation. And usually we're going to ask then, can we meet in person? Because a lot of times over coffee, over a meal, we're able to learn a lot more and just build a better relationship, because that's very relational, our business. And at that time, when we meet with them, we're going to find out everything we can. Somebody may call it an intake, but we're going to find out everything we can about either them or their loved one. And then we don't give them options at that time. We say, let us get back to you. Give us a day or 2 days to get back to you, especially when we find out their time frame. And we go home and we're talking about it, and we're thinking about the different communities based on what they said. And we bring it down to a list between 3 to 5 communities. And then we usually follow up with them, maybe in person, maybe over a phone call, whatever their preference is, and discuss the communities and tell them the pros and cons based on what they told us of why it would fit what they had described for us. And then from there, they would make the decision of what communities they would like to visit. So we then go back, and we're the ones who are calling the communities, getting the tours scheduled. We're the ones going back and forth with the communities. So honestly, the family is just taking care of their loved one at that time. And then we follow back up with them, and we tell them, okay, based on the schedule you gave us, these are the 3 places we're going to. We're going here, we're going here, we're going here. And we meet with them outside before we get there. We go in together. We're taking notes for them about what they did like, what they didn't like, the questions that they asked. As we leave, we kind of stand outside in the parking lot and ask them, what are your thoughts? So it's fresh in their mind before we see a different community. And we write that down for them. And then after we visited the 3 communities or 4 communities, we give them a summary of the pros and cons that they had for each one so that they can make a decision. And then at that point, if it's assisted living or memory care, we're going to get an assessment scheduled for the family member that is needing to move. And then from there, we don't just stop there. We pride ourselves in being a local resource. So we connect them, that initial meeting, as they're talking, and they're talking about possibly having dementia, but they don't have a neurologist, or they're talking about how they're going to need a move manager, or they're talking about somebody who just needs to come in, maybe a realtor. All the things that they're discussing, a banker, anything, we're writing our list down of resources that we have relationships with that we can give them as resources, so that when they come to us, we're kind of helping solve the whole process of making a huge move from home to a community. And then we help them with that process of moving into the community. We connect them with that salesperson there, and they kind of take it from there after the assessment and having them move in. And then we follow up after they moved in.
Wow. That's awesome. So that's what it would look like for somebody if they got in contact with you. How can somebody get in contact with you guys if they've been listening today and they're interested to get in contact, they're interested in using your services? How does that work?
Honestly, the easiest way is probably call us.
Okay.
They can call us at 704-650-7956 or go to our website, nightsenioradvisors.com.
Night Senior Advisors. Awesome. Well, Meghan, Cory, it's been a pleasure having you on. This is Meghan and Cory Knight with Night Senior Advisors. And like always, I am Greg Prinz, and this is the Chapter 1 Podcast.